So I just want to, ask you straight up. It's just like, how the hell did you save up 200,000, right?
I think I started in my early to mid 20s. Like I saved up a decent chunk of money.
Welcome back to Morning Money Grinds. This is episode number 2. Today I am here with Staff Sergeant Lee. We're going to be talking about military, money, life, everything. So today we're drinking Freedom Roast by Black Rifle Coffee Company. It's one of the medium roasts. How you like it?
Pretty good.
For you. I want to give a quick shout out to our partnership with Benefit Tree, probably one of the best military benefits apps there is out on the market right now. That's what this channel is all about, is helping military members and figuring out what benefits are available to them. So this app does exactly that. I'll have the information in the description below. I'll leave a link so you guys can go check them out.
Hey guys, Staff Sergeant Lee. I'm a crew chief in the Air Force. I've been in for about 6 years. Done a one deployment. Just bought a house. And I guess, yeah, I've always been pretty good with money.
Is that something your parents taught you, or how'd you pick up those money habits?
I have my mom to thank for that. She used to work at the post office, and my dad actually stayed home to take care of us.
Okay.
And she was supporting the family or multiple families because I had aunts and uncles and cousins staying with us. So at one point it was like my mom, dad, sister, me, aunt, uncle, aunt, other uncle, cousin, another cousin, and then we had people come and visit. So like she was able to support that on one income because she was very frugal. And it's not about being frugal per se, but like being strategic with what you spend your money on. Like what kind of value does it bring to you?
Yeah. How was it growing up with such a very tight budget,
Oh,
very tight budget and a very big household? Like obviously, like you said, your mom was the only source of income. So was it that your dad that was doing the budgeting, or was it your mom?
it was both. It was a team effort. I guess my mom taught me at a very young age, if you don't have the money to buy something, you don't buy it. But I feel like now in this day and age, everyone is like, I want the instant gratification. I want to buy it now. And it kind of takes you off of the path towards your financial goals.
I agree with you 100%, man. I think we're like in this day and age, like now everybody wants the next new like shiny thing, right? But one thing that most people don't understand is that it just slows you down to your goal, right? Whether it's buying a house or buying buying your next watch or buying your dream car, right? Every purchase you make really slows you down to that end goal, right? Because now, or right, even debt, right? Like the big one is debt. Credit cards are a big one for everybody, really. You just like instant gratification, just swiping that card and I'll pay for it later, right?
When it comes to finance, yeah, if you don't have the money, you just don't buy it. Right now, it's like people can't say no to themselves. And I also treat my credit card the same way. So like if I'm going to buy something with a credit card, I pay it off right away.
Okay. So do you pay the balance at the end of every month?
Yeah, in
Okay.
full.
Yeah.
That way you don't pay any extra interest.
That's very hard to do, man. Because I do have a little bit of debt myself as well. Like I'm not perfect, right? So I have a couple thousand on my credit cards, and I'm just doing the minimum monthly payment, right? I have the SVRE benefits. That's something that's available to military members.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm capped at 4 to 6%. So my interest is not that high, but obviously you're right.
It's still an extra
yeah,
4 to 6% that you're gonna have to pay.
it chips away at my paycheck, right? And
Yeah.
that's obviously something that I'm working on. But I did want to talk about, right? Like it takes discipline. And I think that's kind of where you're going into, where it takes discipline and budgeting to pay off the full amount of your credit card statement. Why do you pay off your statement balance, right? Like,
Okay.
and did your mom teach you that? Did your mom have credit cards?
Actually, my dad was the one who kind of balanced the checkbook. But yeah, like the reason I paid off in full is because if you're just paying off the minimums, you're gonna end up paying more towards interest. So like some people will buy, $1,000 TV, and instead of paying $1,000 for it, they just pay the minimum. So by the time they're done, it'll probably be like closer to 2,000. You're doubling what you're paying, and you're not really getting any value out of it. So where's that money going, right?
That's money that could have been used elsewhere, right?
Yeah. My wife, when I met her, she had a little bit of debt,
Yeah.
and she was really nervous about telling me, right? She's like, "Oh, it's kind of secret." It was like $2,000-3,000, but I was like, "What did you buy? Like, what did you spend your money on?" She's like, "Oh, I went on a shopping spree. Like, I bought a phone, I bought shoes, and a purse, and it was like 1,000 something." But then because she was paying just the minimums, it lasted like 2-3 years, and then she ended up paying, I think, 3,000 was like her total.
Total, yeah.
Yeah, for like $1,000 purchase, she's now spending like
Yeah.
3,000 plus. And then we were able to get her out of debt and then sort of shift her mindset on budgeting and finance. She just bought a car recently and she paid it off in 6 months.
That's great.
Because yeah, if you wait the 72 months or whatever, you're gonna end up paying an extra like 10K, 20K in interest.
Yeah.
And where's that money going? You're making the car industry rich,
Yeah.
right? Not yourself.
I agree with you, man. 100%.
Yeah, so she's a natural spender. I'm a natural saver. And we used to get into arguments a lot because, she would want to buy a bunch of stuff. I'm like, no, we need to save for our future. I want to get the house. I want to be able to support the family and I don't want to struggle.
Yeah.
But then like we sat down. That was one of the first conversations we had. Like
Before you got married, like
before we got married,
at what day did you bring up?
probably like our second or third date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was just like, so, how are you with money? How are you with, like, there's a bunch of important questions that you need to address before you even think about marriage, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, first thing I was like, how much debt do you have? How are you with money? Where do you see yourself in, 5 years, 10 years? What are your financial goals? And then kind of break it down from there. I think I have a problem with spending money. Like, I can't spend money. I can't bring myself to like enjoy it. So
Why is that so? Do you think it's like a psychological kind of effect, right? So like
it's a mindset, it's a habit.
I guess it's more of a habit, right? Something I've kind of learned is that like people that did struggle with money growing up never want to be put in that position again, right? Because they know how hard it is. They know how difficult it is to obtain money and to have money, right? So why did you decide to join the Air Force?
Well, I always wanted to serve. I just didn't want to leave my friends and family behind. And then one of my buddies suggested the Guard. I was like, oh, okay. One of the best kept secrets in the military. I was able to, do my military service and also stay near home, friends and family. Also, it provided an opportunity for career growth. Because before the military, I was working a retail job. I was a manager at CVS. I was making like barely above minimum wage. But even then, I was still able to save up almost 100K.
What made you decide to be a crew chief?
I didn't really know much about the military going in. So I asked like which career path would provide the best opportunity, which job has the most, translatable skills to the civilian workforce. So you want to keep your options open. You want to have a plan to stay in and be, the lifer, or if something else comes along, you should be able to have a plan to get out. Yeah. So whatever life throws at you.
100%, dude. So that was my mindset coming in. So I had two options. I had the option to be a loadmaster and the option to be an engineer aircraft mechanic, right? So those are the two biggest jobs that were offered to me, and kind of thought about it long term, right? So they were like, hey, loadmaster's gonna be fun. You travel over the world, fly all the time. But one of the things I thought about was long term was, hey, how am I gonna be able to transition those skills outside of the military if I don't stay in? Right. And I think engineer aircraft mechanic, right? Like I knew that they make pretty good money on the outside. So I was just kind of like, even if I don't do 20 years, I know that getting out, I'm going to have a skill set at least coming out where, I can put to use.
And that's really what it's all about, right? Your goals. How bad do you want it? And are you willing to sacrifice and work for it? So I think it's all connected, whether it comes to finance, education, health and fitness. Usually the most difficult choices provide the best return on investment. So like, do I want to go out and party, or do I want to stay and study and make sure I do well in school? Do I want to, eat junk food, or am I going to go work out and like eat something healthy? And then with finance, or am I going to go out and spend my money on random stuff, or is it more important to watch my bank account grow? Right. And that's kind of how I gamified it. So like, it's kind of like leveling up in a video game. Every couple thousand, you're leveling up, and then you never go down below that. And then you just keep growing and growing. My friend just told me that it's like, yeah, line go up. That's your life, right? So the graph, right? You want to elevate every chance you get. And if you, let's say you want to buy that fancy car, right? You're not really growing as much as you can. You're stagnating. Yeah. So it's like, I can buy that watch, I can buy that car. And then now instead of growing your wealth, it's kind of like leveling up. I used to play this game called World of Warcraft. Shout out to all my wild gamers out there. So there's these things in the game called flight paths, which are pretty much like taxes, right? You can fly to an area and complete your quests. And I was like, I'm not paying for that. I'm going to walk, right? Yeah. So yeah, it took a little bit longer, but I found ways to make it worth it. So like while I'm walking somewhere, I would end up doing quests, right? And that kind of just translated into the real world, where it's like, I'm not going to spend money on these luxuries. I'm going to find the most cost-effective ways to complete these tasks, requests, whatnot. People have a bad habit of like saving money. And then once they save a certain amount, they go, I'm going to reward myself. And then they just buy a bunch of random stuff, or they'll make a big purchase, and that takes away all that time and effort and all those savings. Yeah. Right? So it's like relating it back to the game. If you were to play a video game where you level up and you get all this, crazy gear, armor, weapons, and then by beating the game, you get rewarded by starting at level 0 again with nothing. Why would you do that to yourself in the game? It's not fun.
Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourself in real life?
I never really thought about it that way. I kind of always thought about life like a game of Monopoly. So
That's
I've
it.
always played Monopoly, and I kind of learned early on that like a couple houses, an apartment complex, and having money, right? Having other people pay you.
That passive income,
Yeah,
right?
passive
Yeah.
income. Yeah, it's kind of something I learned very young, early on. I think so.
That's something that I discovered a little later on, and I'm trying to build that now. But I guess the mindset of my parents is kind of like you work hard, you save your money, and then that's what you use to sort of, I guess, invest. Yeah, my parents never really had that.
Business.
They never had that. They never had that entrepreneur or like that business mindset where it's like you can grow your wealth. They're just like, all right, you work hard, you save a lump sum of money, and then you live off of that kind of thing. So that's kind of my philosophy on it. Like you just save up a huge lump sum. But nowadays with inflation, like you're fighting a losing battle.
And then what? So you talk about investing.
But
What services are you using, right, to
yeah.
invest, and what kind of returns are you getting on them?
So I have the TSP with the military and with the technician job, and then
Does that match 5%?
yeah, 5% match, so 10% total, and then I also do Vanguard.
And then you kind of know your returns that you're getting on them or not?
Haven't really looked. I kind of just index and chill, right? Just let it
Index
grow.
and chill.
Trying to think. I actually did a test a few years ago where I put money into one fund. I think it was like $400. That was the minimum requirement. So I just bought it and I left it. I didn't put in any more money. And over the last 2 years, it's grown to like 700 or 800.
Nice.
So that's just a test. Cause like the problem is people will invest, they like throw money in and then they don't really track it, right? So I'm like, all right, I want to see how much this one index fund or mutual fund will actually grow.
Yeah. And then, so kind of goes back to military. So the TSP, obviously there's different accounts that you can invest in, right? So which one are you investing in? Is it the more aggressive one or kind of the more?
I'm going sort of aggressive. I'm doing just the total stock market, which is is it the C fund?
Because there's C, there's S,
Because, okay, hold on.
there's the I fund.
There's L, which is a lifetime fund. They like manage it for you. There's the C fund, which is, I think, the common stocks. That's like probably the closest to the S&P. There's the S, it's like small, and then I is international.
Okay.
All right. So I went pretty aggressive. I think it's all in mostly in the C fund.
Yeah.
It's like 80, which is like the index, and then I have some in like the small.
Yeah.
Because that one, I think it has an opportunity to grow a lot more,
Yeah.
but the chances are very low.
Do you have a set goal for that, for your TSP? Like, do you want to hit a certain number before you retire? Some people's goal are, it's a million and then they're like that. But obviously with inflation, right, taking everything into account,
Yeah.
to me, I believe inflation is it's going to catch up to us, right? So, 20, 30 years from now, the dollar might be a lot less worth than what it is now if you were to retire now. So,
Yeah, I remember watching a video saying that like people that wanted $1 million in 10 years, 15 years, it's going to be like 2.5.
yeah, to me, $1 million doesn't seem like a lot of money anymore.
Really
I feel
not,
like
yeah.
someone could blow $1 million in just one house, buying one house.
Yeah, essentially.
Buying a house and a car, and that's it. That's $1 million. I just think it's crazy, where we're at. So I just want to, ask you straight up. It's just like, how the hell did you save up 200,000, right?
I think I started in my early to mid 20s. Like I saved up a decent chunk of money, like 30 grand ish. And then I had to buy a new car. So I saw my account sort of shrink a lot. I was like, all right, I don't like this. So I made it my goal to like spend as little as possible. So any subscriptions,
So just subscriptions.
Well, actually, I think this was even before subscriptions.
Okay.
So like, it was really just,
Did you really budget at all, or you kind of just?
I just did it all in my head. Yeah. Some people need a pen and paper. They need to write everything down. I just did it in my head. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to spend any money. So like, there was one point where I was getting paychecks and I wasn't depositing it. I was just like letting it stack up at home. And then I would go to the bank and just do like 10 checks at a time. And then I'd see my money just kind of jump up. But like, I would see how far I could go without spending any money. So like not spending money. I would see how far I go without spending.
Spending as little as possible.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
right, 'cause you started eating instead.
Yeah, I'd still,
Were you in with your parents this time? Was that a big,
yeah,
an advantage?
that was
right?
that was a definite benefit. It was a huge advantage being able to live at home with my parents. I was paying bills though, water, power, internet, all that like expenses. So that was like kind of like my rent. But like,
And
I've always thought about the worst case scenario. Like if I ended up on the streets, like what would I do, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, there's a quote, right? If you only got one source of income, you're one paycheck away from being homeless, right?
Right.
That's kind of the reality of it, and that's a big one for me too. And that's kind of why I got into real estate, because that's some of that passive income coming in. I'm trying to grow a business, all that stuff, because I know just one source of income is just not enough. You know, it's a scary thought not to think that.
Right. I think it's crazy how we have like such extreme different views on money,
Yeah.
where it's like you have this passive income and like all these different income streams where I'm like, all right, I have this one job and how am I going to stretch this out? But there's also a limiting factor to how much I can save,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah,
I'm bringing a certain amount,
yeah.
there's a limit to how much I can grow that.
But again, on my end, right? Like, there's a lot of risk I'm taking, right? So there's a huge more, I'm leveraging money, right? Which is that's to be dangerous. And luckily, I haven't seen any negative side effects of that. I'm pretty, blessed, and I'm grateful that everything's kind of worked out in my favor. But there's some big risks I took when I was early on that he paid out. But
Yeah.
I just didn't know. It was unknown. It was so much uncertainty, so much risk, uncalculated risk that I really took. I obviously believe I think your route is a lot more safer.
Yeah.
It's a lot more safer. It's a lot more direct. It's a lot more secure. Like, it's just for sure. Like, hey, I'm making X amount of money. I can save X amount of money, and I know I'm gonna have X amount of money when I retire. And I think that's kind
It's
of
more, yeah, it's more predictable.
but yeah, man. So I said again,
So yeah, the different mindsets of money. There are people that are making 50, 60K and they're able to retire with millions. And there are people that are making 200,
yeah.
300K and they're broke. They're living
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck.
It goes back to another saying, right? It's just like, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep,
Yeah.
right? And that's huge, right? Because I agree. I've known people that make a lot of money and
They spend it all.
they spend it all, right?
So yeah, I try to cut out all unnecessary expenses. And then like I would go hang out with friends and they want to go out and eat, but I'm trying to like save up money. So I would eat at home and then I'd go out and hang out with them afterwards. They're like, hey, we want to go, watch a movie or whatever and then like go to dinner. I'm like, no, I'm going to eat at home afterwards.
Do you feel like that affect your relationship with your friends, or
No,
it
not
change
really.
in any different type of way?
No, not really. Well, I wouldn't say that I would just, okay. So I didn't just eat at home and then like I never wanted to eat with friends. I would just eat more at home so that I could lightly snack when I went out. And then also like alcohol is a big thing. It will double the price of your meal. What else? Window shopping. That's another thing. I would go to the mall or the store and like I would see something that I wanted. I was like, you know what? Not now. So that's another important factor. It's a delayed gratification, right? Now it's all about instant gratification. You see something, you want it, you buy it. You don't have the money?
Yeah.
Screw it. I'll use credit cards. And you end up in debt. You're going to end up spending all of your earnings on paying off those credit cards.
Yeah.
So actually, as a kid, my parents would always tell me like, we don't have the money for this. So like, we'd go to the store. I go to Toys R Us, right?
Yeah.
And I'd walk around and look for things that I want,
Yeah.
knowing that I couldn't get it
Yeah.
yet. And then eventually it's like, hey, I saved up enough money. I would go buy that one thing and I'm good.
Yeah.
So it's about, being goal oriented, right? So like I wanted that one toy and I would save up. So allowance, like you said, I would get like $5 a week, right?
Yeah.
And you can either spend $1 a day on candy, chips, snacks, and at the end of the week you got nothing. Or you save it up for a year and at the end of the year you can buy like a gaming system or something.
Yeah.
All right. So it's really, what are your goals? How important is it to you? And are you willing to sacrifice and like forego the immediate gratification to get to that goal?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's that way for fitness as well, right?
So you think fitness and finance really kind of go hand in hand?
Oh,
That's
definitely.
like 100, not 100%, but majority of the same mindsets are similar.
Oh, 100%. Health and fitness is preventative maintenance for your body. So you think about your car, right? You take it and get oil changes. You take it to like flush out the transmission. You're doing all this maintenance so that you don't have a catastrophic failure. But people don't think about that when it comes to their own body, right? Not only are you going to save money because you're not going to spend a lot on your hospital bill, you're also training that mindset of like forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do because it's necessary for your fitness or your financial future. So it goes hand in hand. I think like it's the same mindset, just applied in a different subject or different category.
What's the one piece of advice, or a couple of pieces of advice that you would give, right, to save, how to save, how to invest, what to invest in? I think that's the biggest issue, is that a lot of people don't know how to get started and what platform to use, what bank to use. They don't know anything about interest rates, right? Best piece of advice you give for someone trying to save money.
So yeah, it comes down to your goals. What do you want out of life? And There's a video I saw about a military member who he got made fun of for always going to the DFAC and never wanting to go out and party. And while he was in, he learned how to cut hair. Like he was a barber. So it's like all of his friends would come over and he would, cut their hair. He learned a new skill. And then after 5, 6 years, he had, a couple 100,000. How the hell did you save up that much money? He's like, yeah, because I kept my head down. I put in that work, right? Just that grind. And, you guys went out and you drank and you spent all this money. So that's what sets us kind of apart, right?
Having that discipline.
That discipline and that mindset. It's not, okay, it's also not just discipline because you can only have so much, right? It's really about the mindset shift and your identity. If you say, I'm not good with money, but I'm trying to set a budget, you're fighting an uphill battle. If you're saying, I'm not into health and fitness, but I want to be, going to the gym, working out, like you're contradicting yourself, right? So there's this book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It talks about your identity. So how you view yourself is how you're going to respond to all these other events in life.
Moments, like
Situations, circumstances. Yeah. There's a story of this kid who wasn't doing so well in school, but he promised his mom that he was going to take the SATs. So the day came, he took the test and just kind of forgot about it. A couple months later, he got a letter in the mail saying like, oh, you got like a 15 something on the SATs. I think this is when I was out of 16, right?
Yeah.
And his mom's like, no way. You cheated, huh? He's like, no, like I really tried to, but like the way that they rearranged the questions, like I had different tests than other people around me, so I couldn't. I just, did whatever I can remember. And that shifted his mindset. He had that mindset shift and he's like, huh, maybe I am smart. And if I'm smart, what do smart people do? They go to class, they pay attention, they do their homework, they study for tests. And he ended up graduating with, pretty decent GPA, went on to complete college, got his degree, started his business, and then he became very successful. And then a few years later, he got a letter in the mail saying like, hey, we made a mistake. You actually got like a 900 or something on your SATs. So was it that he was stupid or that he wasn't smart before? Or was it when he made the decision, hey, you know what? I am smart, right? We started believing in it. So that kind of goes back to the money mindset, right? Like, okay, if I am good with money, I'm good with budgeting, you start to practice those habits that someone who is financially savvy would do. And then same thing with your health and fitness, right? It's like, hey, I'm a person that doesn't skip the gym. I'm a person who is like, you have to kind of trick yourself. You're like, I am disciplined.
Yeah.
I am someone who goes to the gym. I'm someone who is mentally strong, and it kind of reinforces those habits.
Yeah. Like personal affirmations, right? Like
Kind of, yeah.
kind of making yourself believe that you're capable of these things, right?
Right. It's a superpower, and it makes the habits come a lot easier. So like, you're not trying to use willpower to like force yourself to do these things. You're like, no, I'm just going to do it because that's how I am. It makes it
Or like,
yeah, routine. It makes it sort of natural for you to participate in these habits as opposed to you're like trying to force yourself to do these things. And then you only have so much willpower before you're just like, I give up. I'm going to burn out, right? Like just white knuckling through life.
yeah.
So
Is everybody that was living with you, are they all pretty financially, financially literate, right? Where they think they're saving, they're investing, or I'm not a believer of the environment you're in does not dictate your outcome.
so it's a little bit of nurture and nature. And there's one quote, Dave Ramsey, or it's actually from the Bible. It says, be not deceived. Bad company corrupts good habits or good character, which makes sense. Like there's the idea that like you become the average of your 5 closest friends, whether that is finance.
They're saying like, tell me who you hang around with and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Show me your friends. I'll show you your future.
Yeah. My dad used to say that to me all the time. So he's like, make sure you surround yourself with great people and you'll become great. Here on Morning Money Grinds, one of the things that I like is watches, right? I'm a big watcher and I know so are you. So what are you wearing today?
So today I got the Seiko Spirit, the SBTR 027. So
How much did it cost?
150?
150. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm wearing a Tissot PRX Powermatic 80. Cost me about, I think it was like $7.99 at the time. So I just got it. My wife got it for me for my birthday. So, shout out to her. But yeah, man, your favorite quote?
If you don't pay the price for success, you'll pay the price for failure. Zig Ziglar. And then Layla Hormozi, fuck your mood, follow the plan. Right. And that's where most people get tripped up. Like they have a financial budget or a financial plan and they go, I feel like doing this today. Like if you live your life based on how you feel and your emotions, like you're never gonna get anywhere. Right. And we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Denzel Washington.
Is there any deployment hacks you have for saving money? You know, like, hey, this certain company gives a higher high yield interest rate for the term of your deployment. Another big factor is, now that I hear it, is that when I deployed, I used California has laws to a deferment of your property, so you stop paying principal and interest. You don't have to pay property tax. So that's a big stress reliever, right? And it's you can use it as a big savings account where it defers your mortgage for up to 6 months or 180 days.
I would still pay it though to get rid of the interest.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Get that principal down, then you have less interest to pay.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then they just add 6 months to your, to your 30-year term. But I don't know. Do you have any type of deployment hacks that you did?
I mean, at the
Savings?
time, not really. I just had in a high yield savings account. I was getting about 4 to 5%.
Okay.
But depending on how much money you have saved up, that can be a pretty substantial amount.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
Tax
financial
free
hacks. Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. Has pay.
Yeah, has been.
Yeah.
Hey, it adds up. Save a lot of money.
Yeah. Again, kept my head down, just worked, went to the gym, ate.
All right, thanks for coming, dude. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
To have this podcast, hopefully inspire and teach some of the members out there a little bit more about investing and budgeting, and kind of, I guess, obviously the biggest one I got from this was, having that mindset, the discipline was huge. But yeah, thanks for coming out.
I hope you guys found this useful. If I'm able to help some people with their finances, it's all worth it. I was a Spider-Man. If you help someone, you help everyone.
There you go, man.